Hi, and welcome to the Fishery Progress Orientation. This presentation was designed to introduce you to fishery improvement projects and the website we run called Fishery Progress. In this presentation, I will give you a quick history about the fishery improvement projects and show how they are changing the global seafood industry. Next, I'll orient you to the world's most comprehensive fishery improvement project tracking website, FisheryProgress.org. Our organization is Fish Choice, a nonprofit organization that is focused on helping businesses advance their sustainability efforts on their own. We have done this in part by creating a number of online tools that make it easier for businesses to find and use the information that they need to buy and sell sustainable seafood. Today, we're here to talk about one of those tools, FisheryProgress.org. Let's get started with what a fishery improvement project, or a FIP, is. A FIP is a stepwise approach to improve the sustainability of a fishery that involves multiple stakeholder groups and uses the power of markets to incentivize change in management and on the water. An important part of a FIP is that it has to make the information regarding the environmental and social performance of seafood products publicly available. The number of FIPs has been growing steadily since 2006 and started mainly with whitefish, but now includes a number of different commodities, such as tuna, snappers and groupers, shrimp, crabs and lobsters, salmon, and small pelagics. As FIPs continued to gain momentum in the early 2010s, along with the growing demand for sustainable seafood, more and more seafood companies became interested in sourcing from FIPs. The challenge was that it was very difficult for them to find the information they needed on FIP products, as well as a way to make sure that that information was reliable. Because of that, Fishery Progress was created. It is a one-stop shop for reliable, credible, and verified information about FIP progress. To give some context for how Fishery Progress was created, I'll start by telling you about its history. In March 2015, the Conservation Alliance for Seafood Solutions, a consortium of the organizations you see here, created guidelines for defining and supporting FIPs. The goal was for all of the organizations in the sustainable seafood movement to build clarity and a shared perspective on FIPs. The Conservation Alliance guidelines form the backbone of Fishery Progress, and they defined a few key elements of a FIP. These include the difference between a basic and comprehensive FIP, the stages of progression for a FIP, and the status of a FIP. There are two types of FIPs, basic and comprehensive. Basic FIPs are a good entry point for fisheries to begin addressing specific environmental challenges. These FIPs seek to address only parts of the MSC fishery standard. Comprehensive FIPs aim to address the full range of environmental challenges necessary for a fishery to achieve a high level of sustainability. These FIPs address all 28 MSC performance indicators and have more rigorous requirements for the scope of improvements, the development of documentation, and reporting on progress. The second element that the Conservation Alliance for Seafood Solutions defined in the guidelines were the 6 stages of progression. These stages give us a general understanding of where any given FIP is in its development. Stage 0 is the identification stage, where a target fishery is identified and a supply chain analysis is conducted to understand who else is involved in the fishery and what market leverage exists. Stage 1 is the development stage, where the fishery's performance is evaluated against the MSC standard and stakeholders are recruited to participate in the project. Stage 2 is the launch stage, where the FIP participants and work plan are finalized and made public. Stage 3 is the implementation stage, where the fishery starts taking action towards addressing its shortcomings and begins tracking its progress. In stage 4, the FIP is able to demonstrate improvements in policy, management, or modifications in fishing practices. In stage 5, the FIP is able to demonstrate improvements on the water, such as a reduction in fishing mortality, an increase in biomass of the target stock, and a reduction in habitat impacts. Finally, here are the different statuses defined by the Alliance guidelines. They help provide us with a common language when referring to the state of a FIP. Active FIPs are currently working to achieve their objectives. Inactive FIPs ended before achieving their goals or failed to meet fishery progress requirements for reporting progress. This could be because they failed to provide updates on their progress for over a year, or because they were unable to report improvements in fisheries management or improvements on the water within 3 years. We encourage buyers to contact the FIP lead to understand why the FIP is inactive. Prospective FIPs are in stage 0 or stage 1 and intend to reach stage 2 within 1 year. Prospective FIPs are listed on FisheryProgress in order to increase transparency about new FIPs that are being developed. We encourage buyers to contact the FIP lead and support them to become an active FIP. Completed FIPs have graduated to certification or otherwise achieved all of their objectives. FisheryProgress does not continue to review a FIP's progress or data once a FIP is marked as completed on the site. While creating the FIP guidelines, the Alliance recognized that without a third-party platform, it would be very difficult to know if FIPs were meeting the guidelines and to verify when they were making progress. The guidelines called for the creation of an online tool, FisheryProgress.org, that would make information about global FIPs and their progress easier to access, track, and compare. The FisheryProgress website launched in October of 2016 with 25 FIPs, and the goal is to have 95% of the global FIPs on FisheryProgress by 2020. At the time that this orientation was recorded in June 2019, FisheryProgress has 145 published FIPs, representing 62 countries and over 2,000 registered users from around the world, made up of seafood companies, FIP implementers, the NGO community, and others. About 40% of our users are industry-based. Here is another look at the FIPs on FisheryProgress. There is a healthy range in the geographies of FIPs, as well as in the stages of progression, as FIPs continue to make improvements and bring about changes in management and on the water. So, what makes FisheryProgress valuable? First, the information is carefully reviewed before it is published on the website by an independent party, FishChoice. We measure all FIPs against the same yardstick, the MSC standard with its 3 principles and 28 indicators, allowing for comparability amongst FIPs. All FIPs are required to report on the progress towards their work plan every 6 months. FisheryProgress is open to all FIPs of various stages and sizes. And finally, FisheryProgress is funded by private foundations and is free for its users. Now let's take a look at the site. This is the home page of FisheryProgress. The first step is for all users to create a login. This is a quick process that allows you to see additional details about a FIP or manage those that you're involved with. You can still see partial information for FIPs without a login. You can use the Add or Update a FIP button to manage the FIP profiles you've created or to start a new one. Using the FIP directory, you can search for FIPs on the site using a range of criteria: species, location, gear, or browse full lists of basic and comprehensive FIPs. The How to Use This Site page provides more information on creating and finding FIP profiles, as well as how to navigate this site. In this section, you can find a copy of our FIP Review Guidelines, which has detailed information on the protocols that FisheryProgress uses to review and publish FIPs. You can also find guides on how to complete progress updates for your FIP. Finally, the Resources page provides a number of resources on launching a FIP. It includes templates for all required FIP documents, seafood buying guides for nearly 80 species and guidance on buying from FIPs, and a glossary of common FIP terms used on our site. Here is a look at an actual FIP profile. This one is for the Vietnam blue swimming crab FIP. The overview page summarizes the most important information about the FIP. On the left, there is a succinct description of the FIP and the FIP objectives that it is setting out to achieve. We can see that it is a comprehensive FIP and it is in stage 5. Below, we can see the scope of the FIP, which includes the target species, the fishing gears, the fishing locations, and the volume. On the right side of the screen, we have our FIP at a glance box. The fishery status shows a snapshot of the fishery's current performance. This FIP is working on all 28 indicators, remember it's comprehensive, and 71% of those indicators show green or positive performance against the MSC standard, while 25% are yellow and 4% are red, indicating that there are still some issues that need to be addressed. You can see how much this fishery has improved since it began by looking just below at the starting evaluation. The Actions Complete pie chart shows you the proportion of actions in the work plan that have been completed. In the case of this FIP, 58% are completed. Next to the pie chart, we can see a giant A. This is the FIP's progress rating, which is a letter grade that makes it easy for potential buyers to understand how quickly a FIP is making progress towards its end goals. The ratings were created by the Sustainable Fisheries Partnership and have been endorsed by the Conservation Alliance. If I were to click on the information icon, denoted by this little I next to the progress rating, you could see the methodology for how these letter grades were determined. And finally, we have the FIP leads. These are the organizations and primary contacts you should reach out to for more information about a FIP. For most users, the information on this page is all they'll need. However, as you can see along the top, this FIP has several more tabs which provide more detailed information. The next tab is the Details tab. On the left side of the page, you'll find a list of the participants involved in the FIP and the core documentation. Clicking any of these document tabs would reveal one or more documents that may be directly downloaded. On the right side of this page, we see a heading for additional impacts. This is an optional field that summarizes fishery improvement efforts that a FIP is involved in, but that may fall outside of the scope of the MSC standard, such as traceability or social impacts. In this area, you will also see engagement opportunities where FIPs can request help or participation from others. The Improvement Progress tab shows you the score for each MSC performance indicator that the FIP is tracking, starting with the baseline or year 0 on the very left. Moving to the right, we can see the FIP's progress over subsequent years. Users can find out more information on any specific performance indicator by clicking the link on the left. When performance indicators improve over time, you will find an explanation for the improved score change, as well as evidence to justify that change. Finally, the Action Progress tab shows you each action that the FIP is undertaking to address deficiencies within the fishery. Each row on this table represents an action that the FIP is taking. The first column is the action title, and moving to the right, we see the associated MSC performance indicators, a summary of the tasks within each action, the expected completion date, its status, and any results. Clicking on an action will display a more detailed description of what the action entails, the participants that are involved, the start and end dates, any results or outcomes from the action, and most importantly, the evidence to back it up. That is a basic overview of Fishery Progress. Our team is made up of Kristen Sherwood, Margaret Gilroy, Albert Arthur, and me, Jeremy Rood. We have an advisory committee that is made up of members of the NGO community, fishery consultants, and seafood buyers, as well as a technical oversight committee that helps improve the guidelines and perform spot checks on the FIPs to ensure credibility. If you are interested in uploading a FIP, the first step is to create an account. You can do this from the top right section of our homepage, and it's quick and easy to do. Next, sign up for a one-on-one training by going to our homepage, clicking How to Use This Website, and navigating to Trainings and Webinars. We'll cover important information about the documents required for basic and comprehensive FIPs, the initial review process, and how to complete progress updates. It may also be helpful to check out our resources page, which has some great content for new FIP coordinators. If you are interested in sourcing seafood from FIPs on Fishery Progress, visit our Guidance for Buyers page. Here you can find resources that will help you determine if the seafood product from a particular FIP meets your sourcing policy, as well as species-specific seafood guides for dozens of species on Fishery Progress. And finally, if you have questions, comments, suggestions, or concerns about any aspect of Fishery Progress, please reach out to us. We always appreciate hearing from you and value your feedback. Thank you for your time, and be sure to locate the PDF of this presentation on the Trainings and Webinar page, which includes clickable hyperlinks.